Good evening. This is a meeting of the Groton Board of Education Committee of the Whole, meeting on Monday, June 15th, 2026 at 6 p.m. It's being held in person and remotely. In person tonight we have Adrian Johnson, Jen White, myself, Beth Washington, and Ms. Shimbrock. And online we have Andrea Ackerman, Ian Thomas, Jay Whitlaw, and Sean Corcoran. And I'm pretty sure Mike Whitney is coming, but he might be a little late. And for the staff, we have Shannon, Anne Marie, Susan, and Sam. Okay? The director of facilities, our superintendent, our assistant superintendent, and our grants facilitator. The first order of business is review the minutes for May 18th. That's attachment number 1. Here comes Mike. All right. Any corrections, suggestions about the minutes? Okay. The minutes are approved as written for May 18th. Next is the minutes for June 8th, 2026. That's attachment number 2. Any corrections, discussion? Nope. All right, moving right along. Those minutes are approved as written. The next item on the agenda is grants update, and that's attachment number 3. And I guess
I have to go back. Really quick.
What did you find?
To correct in the minutes, I forgot about this, I'm sorry. On attachment number 1, it says Mr. Johnson explained his request. Mr. Johnson explained the request of Ian Thomas because it's Ian's referral. Mm-hmm. So I just asked that. I did explain it, but it wasn't my request for the dashboard.
Okay.
It should just be.
So it should say Mr. Johnson explained Ian Thomas's request.
Yeah, his understanding of Ian Thomas's
Okay,
request.
Mr. Johnson, and here is Ian Thomas, see as we speak. Mr. Johnson explained his understanding of Ian Thomas's request. Okay. So those minutes are approved as correct. And back
Just to be sure, you're talking about June 8th?
no, we're talking about May 18th.
Yeah, May 18th.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't hear on the room.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm
Under
sorry.
section 5 there.
I wrote it down too, Joan. I got it.
Okay. Next is the grants update, and I'm turning it over to Shannon.
Yep.
Can you all do me a favor when you're speaking? I try to listen to the meeting online, and some people have to pull their mics because you can't hear them when you listen to the meeting. So you have to pull those mics up.
The last meeting, we didn't have the regular mics.
Okay.
So if you couldn't hear,
That was the problem. Okay.
it's because there was technology
Okay.
demands.
But still keep the mics close to you.
At least Jen.
See, I wasn't trying to point anybody. Okay, all right, Shannon.
I just want to say outright that Shannon has been giving us these reports kind of on a quarterly basis, and I so appreciate her not only looking for the grants, but helping us manage our way through the grants, project manage, and just keep on task with all of the demands of these grants. So greatly appreciated. Thank you, Shannon.
As we all are, Shannon.
So unfortunately, I'm having a little bit of a hard time setting up my share screen.
Caitlin, can you, we sent you the, and Mark, we sent,
He should be able to pull it up.
no. It was attachment number 3.
There it is.
There it is. Thank you.
Okay. So, this is just a grants update. There's a few new items on here. I sent this over on Friday for the board to review. I typically send this out several times a year. I don't know if the board has had a chance to review it yet, and if you want to go right into questions, or you could just kind of walk introductory section, give a brief overview.
Yeah, that's mainly for the audience.
Yeah, so since last November, the district has been awarded 5 grants. We've talked about several of them so far over the past couple months. New to this spreadsheet is a new grant that we will be receiving from a national corporation. They have a national event plan that's associated with that. So before we accept the award, or that's happening later in the month, and then we will come back with additional information about that when that award is made public. They've asked us to keep that quiet, which is kind of unusual for us. This is not the typical type of grant that we receive, but it's very exciting, and we believe it's going to be a great opportunity to showcase the great work that we do here in Groton on a national level. So, but more details about that to come. As I mentioned last week, we received official approval for the second part of the Smart Start grant for the Early Childhood Center over at Mary Morrison. We talked about that quite a bit last week, and the board approved that. Most recently, we learned from the the Connecticut Department of Safety and Emergency Safety and Protection, if I remember that correctly, that we were selected for a cybersecurity equipment grant in the amount of $191,000. Clint was not able to be here tonight, but we will come back soon to provide more details on that. We have not officially accepted that award yet, so we will come back to the board with more information on that. Next section is grant applications that were submitted. The Farm to School grant was submitted back in December. We didn't think we were going to be awarded that, and now it's actually looking really good because they're doing a second round of awards, and they reached out to us for more information, and that's always a good sign. So fingers crossed about that. And then we submitted the very large grant to the department, to DOEA, and we'll talk about that in more detail in a little bit. There's a couple grant applications that are coming up soon. As mentioned before, our very successful Roots program at the middle school, which is a 21st Century Learning Center. It's a federally funded program, is coming to an end after 5 great years. So we're going to be submitting to renew that program, and we're also hoping to expand it to the high school. I met with the program managers for that from Hartford last week, and we talked about different things we can do to enhance our application. And then the next section is just major grants that are still ongoing in the district with their approximate timeline when they'll be ending. As you can see, most of the American Rescue Plan funds are ending this year. So Rita and I worked on that together to make sure it's all sent down and taken care of. There are also a handful of smaller grants that we've applied for and received, more in like the $2,000 to $3,000 range. I didn't include those here. This just includes all grants that were over $10,000.
It might be interesting to talk about the LEAP grant. I know that Anne Marie has had extensive workings with the LEAP grant in her prior district, and I think it's a really good grant for us because it looks at attendance and ways that we can improve attendance and kind of out-of-the-box thinking on that.
Absolutely. So, I did not mean to skip over that. I'm sorry.
But Anne Marie, you might want to just talk a little bit about the kinds of things. I mean, I think it's a rigorous grant, and it calls us to do quite a few things. But family visits, I think home visits and the way to approach home visits is a big deal in this, and so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I don't feel like you skipped over it, so don't worry about that. And there's really not much more to say about it other than it really relies heavily on home visits as the major part of the strategy for improving attendance. Not much more to say other than that. The districts that have been involved in this grant previously have been successful with that as the main strategy. It started following the COVID pandemic with, I believe, 14 districts were specifically identified. It wasn't a competitive grant at the time. Districts were identified based on their rate of chronic absenteeism. My previous district was one of them. And the strategy was implemented. People were trained, identified and trained, and they went out and did home visits, and it was very successful, particularly at the middle and high school levels. And so this is when our rates of chronic absenteeism remain a little bit higher than others, and so we're hoping that if we decide to apply for this grant, that will help us in this area as well.
Anybody have any questions? Jane?
With home visits, right, not everyone has a stable home environment. How do you keep the personnel safe?
So there's two ways that you do that. Several ways. Number one, of course, you call or email, you make arrangements in advance. Number two, you don't actually have to go to the home. You can do visits in a public space like a library or a Dunkin' Donuts, wherever people feel comfortable having those visits. Because some people prefer you not to come into their home, so maybe they want to meet you in a public space. And then third, you always go out in pairs. Oftentimes, at a previous place of work, maybe even whole teams, like the 6th grade team, would go out to an individual's home. But it would definitely, it had to be a minimum of 2 individuals.
We do home visits currently, and usually it's an administrator and a counselor, or the SRO and a counselor. So, but we definitely call ahead and make sure you're welcome to come or set up something else.
Are you planning on hiring people, or the people that your staff members that you already have will be doing these home visits?
Right now, so I haven't drafted the grant up yet. I haven't had an opportunity because it recently was released from the State Department of Ed. And we're not, based on where we are right now, we don't qualify for that much money. It's about $125,000. But most likely, we'll be using existing staff that want to volunteer to be part of the program.
And when will they be doing the home visits? If they're existing staff, will they, then you're not talking about teachers, I take it?
No, they could actually be teachers, and because they're getting paid, they could do the visits after school. They can do them during the summertime. Actually, during the summertime is really when they want people to do, as part of the strategy, before the school year starts, is start building those relationships during the summer with those students who were chronically absent during this current school year. So that's a big part of it. And then do subsequent visits during the school year, following up with those families. So building those relationships over time. Starting out, building that foundation. For example, if you want to start with incoming 9th graders who were maybe had a large number of absences during their 8th grade year, and working with the high school staff and starting to build those relationships during the summertime, and then maybe doing an initial visit during the fall to check in, like at this point we've had X number of absences, we're really starting to complement that family, hopefully they don't have that many, and then doing another visit in the winter and then in the spring.
Do you have an idea how many staff members you'll need? And how many families?
It's going to depend on how many families and if we want to target one school or multiple schools. So that's something, actually we have a district attendance meeting this Wednesday, and that's where I'm going to hope to generate some additional ideas and see which schools are interested. I have in mind what school or schools I want to be involved, but you really have to have buy-in from the staff.
Any other question? Mitch? Dan?
I'm very interested to hear about how that develops, and like as far as more data on how many students would be identified as potential follow-ups for the home visits, and also
I
like.
tell you, we have, well, no, you know what, I don't, so I know as of March 2026, because that's where you get the number that tells you how much you qualify for. So as of March 2026, we have 614 students that were chronically absent. There's fewer now because I know our number actually reduced from that point on. So we have somewhere probably I don't want to give you the exact number, I just know there's fewer. So I'm kind of glad in March we had more because that gave us a little bit more money. So we're probably somewhere in the 500 range. So it's depending upon, now that's for the whole entire district.
Right. All grades, all schools.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And chronic is 10%.
And chronic is 10% of the total number of
18 days out of 180 days.
18 or more. Okay.
Now, I will tell you that in, last year, our district average was 21%, which is, we all know is way too high. This year, we're looking, the number is, of course, not final because we're only on day 175, 170 something. There's still a number of school days left. But we're looking to end the year at about, I think we're going to end about 13 or 14%, which is much better.
Okay.
Is this grant only for a year?
I believe this grant will be 1 year. The first round of LEAP grants was significant, I think was from the initial COVID summer of 2020 till it just ended. So those districts all enjoyed multiple years, I believe, of that funding. Right now, it looks like it may just be 1 year with a potential of renewing.
I'll just say as a follow-up to that I'm in favor of adding that on as an ancillary duty to existing staff so that we can avoid extra benefits and that sort of thing. And it's still kind of a pilot program, so I don't want to commit to new staff. And other ones are more invest.
Yeah.
Mitch?
What was the number of students in the system when you had that 10% in March of 2026?
In March of 2026, when I pulled the number, it was, I think, 614, which is high.
How many students are enrolled?
About 4,300, maybe 4,200.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, thank you for the update, and I do appreciate the regular updates. I think still would be great if there was just a grants page on the website, and it could just have really the information in that section 4, which is grant-funded projects. I could sort of, if you wanted to, you could just put the former older grants too if you wanted to keep them, but I think it really shows the district's success without, you wouldn't necessarily want to put up upcoming grant applications and things. That would be a competitive discipline, so that wouldn't give away anything, but it would highlight the successes. And it's good to see from the school, from USDA, is still funded. I know the purchasing of local foods became much more difficult due to federal constraints. So it's good to see there at least funding something.
He's got a few of them. He's good about, he and Shannon work together closely to count guard.
I know the school system's great at it.
Yeah,
I know. Federal forces
I get
rug out.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about the summer mental health support? Because that ends June 2026. So what are we doing this year for the summer mental health support?
So I know that we have a social worker in our ESY, which is, the program that children are involved in if their IEP qualifies them. So we do have that continuing, and I think that's usually paid for through IDEA, which are the federal funds. A lot of that program are paid for through that. So we do have those services, and also we have school-based health. Mitch asked a question. That's funded through the state of Connecticut, and there's always a site that keeps going over the summertime. So we do have that. It has a nurse practitioner, and it usually has mental health care, and parents pay for it through their insurance. So that is something that will continue over the summer as well, besides in the ESY program.
Any other questions about the grants? The cops, they're still not able to hire.
I keep asking. I know he has hired several police officers this year, so I will go back to that in the summertime and talk to the chief of police to see where we're at with that.
And because it's a grant, and he's hiring them. If we don't get the grant, again,
We have.
We have.
People, he didn't have enough staff.
okay.
So now it's a shorter term for the grants, so we have to see probably more of the police would be paid for through the grant now, that it's just a couple of years, but we have to talk to the board about what we want to do with that ongoing after that, so.
Okay, any other questions about anything on the grants?
Yeah, I thought there was another Godia grant that expired in 28. Is that not correct?
Just the quarter passes one, is that English open blank one?
Yeah.
Next year is the world language grant.
That's
And
2027.
So yeah, world language next year.
Yeah, do I not have that on there?
No, that's there, and then military connected. And, 2028. Was there one more Godia grant? that was
You
in
were
there?
right, yep, the ID one is on,
Which one is that?
the ID one.
Oh, all right. When was that?
2029. Sorry about that.
You want to just describe the change?
Yeah, so it's similar to the other Godia grants that we've received. It was at MCAS, the Military Connected Academic and Support, and same for professional development related to the ID program. 5-year grant also. And I don't know if I'm
A director and an evaluator is required.
Any other questions? Andrea, who's in charge of the Military Connected Academic and Support Program to enhance elementary magnet theme program? Who's in charge of doing that?
So the project manager on that grant is Ben Moon.
Okay. And is that going to be all the elementary schools, or?
Yeah, well, all are inter-district magnets, and he does oversee the magnet coaches, and they work together on curriculum and partnerships and all of that. So all 5 of our schools have really rich environments when it comes to intra-district magnet. They're all a little STEAM. Some are more art, some are more STEM, some are,
So the purpose of that grant was really to enhance and continue the partnerships that we've cultivated over the years with technology and to enhance the magnet teams at each elementary schools. And there was also, we did sort of adjust that grant and more of a focus on literacy to align with the science of reading expectations that were put forward over the past couple of years.
We also see it as a pathway to deciding on careers eventually, because when kids are able to nurture all the different, activities that come with the grant, they actually figure out what they're good at and what they love to do. And so the more we can cultivate that in elementary, middle school, the more prepared I think they're going to be to pick a pathway. Not that they'll keep it, but at least to make some choices before they graduate and go to college to figure it out. So not that they all will, but that's kind of the hope that we're doing this pre-K through 12.
Yeah, and did a really great job working with the career pathway program, the 6 to 12 career pathway program, to make sure that the magnet themes at the elementary level align. K through 12.
Are all elementary schools still happy with the themes that they have?
Good question, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think though that with the staff, they're constantly revising it and reinvigorating it, just making it even better as they go along. They usually have, I think, a committee at each of the schools that, works on the grant or works on the magnet theme.
Okay. How do you decide which school gets more money than, how do you decide how to divvy up the money among the schools?
Ben makes sure it's very fair. He talks to each of the principals and sees what their priorities are, and then all of our different partnerships. Like Project O is one of our partners, and Thames River really was, and CK were the ones who were really getting a lot from that. And then we were able to cultivate some regional field trips and field experiences so that every grade level, no matter what school you're in, would have that, or several of the grade levels would have that experience. So he's really looked at that equity piece and works on that as the project manager.
Yeah, and I'd like to say this grant probably more so than maybe some of the others, like Ben, has been really successful. We've worked together on leveraging additional grant funds to enhance the magnet themes at each of the schools. So he's applied for a lot of like mini grants for small arts grants for Northeast Academy, local community organizations. So he's been able to raise additional funds on top of the DODIA grant, which has been great.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes the partners will come to us and say they just got a grant.
Yes,
So we've been fortunate that way too.
Yes, we've received significant funding from partners for grants that they've applied.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
through the Mystic Seaport Museum and Project O and NESS
NESS.
and many others,
Any other questions for Shannon? Jen?
Shannon, like the EB one, is that considered an award, not a grant? Is that why it's not here?
Yes, in fact, it's not even really considered an award.
Oh.
It's, it kind of has special terms, but
okay.
yeah, that's why I didn't include it here.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Shannon. Next is the discussion on Charles Barnum facility. And I'll turn it over to you, Susan.
Okay, well, that goes back to when we first started talking about the Charles Barnum roof. We had said that there was $250 million anticipated for construction for military, high-impact military connected kids in schools. And we first talked to some of the representatives out there who we've worked with, and we were trying to figure out what's a fair number to ask for. And we were thinking around $12 million. But then after talking to the architects that had done, remember they did a project in 2015 and one in 2017 for Mary Morrison and Charles Barnum. So we had at least a starter plan of what would happen, and they've been in to see the building to date because there's some new people working on it, and they wanted to see really from 10 years ago to now, is that still valuable? And so they've done some updates with those plans. And with Charles Barnum, it was, I think the grant was due in 3 days when we were gathering some of this information at the last minute. And Shannon and I said, I think if we can go for $25 million, that might be really doable to be able to get some of this work done. And so the neat part about that is that we checked with DAS, which is the group at the state level who does state grant funding, and Shannon had asked them the question, if we get federal money at this amount, would we be able to use that as the match for state grants? And they said yes. So you wouldn't have to go in and you wouldn't have to use, in other words, the town money for the match. So,
So they said yes verbally.
Yes, they said, so the question was, would we be able to use if we were awarded by DOEA, would we be able to count that as our local contribution versus a municipal bond for the entire amount, which is what's typical. And they said that we would be able to use the grant as part or all of our local contribution.
Is that in writing somewhere?
Yes.
That was a written communication?
Yeah.
Right. Very good.
We didn't apply for a grant.
we can,
Yeah.
because we don't have this one.
Right. So, just a sort of refresher about the timeline. So we were made aware of the DOEA opportunity at the end of April. And, we had discussed here that, we were going to apply for as much funds as possible for Charles Barnum, kind of assuming that a ballpark estimate to build new or renovate would be in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. So our original thinking was to apply for around $12 million with the hope of obtaining a $20 million grant then from the school construction grant program. So we, immediately met with our representative from DOVIA and kind of ran our idea by her, and she was like, yeah, it sounds, you can really apply for as much as you want to. And it's the first year of the grant program, so we really don't know what to expect. That week, we also immediately reached out to our, the architect that we work with here in the district, and they, made themselves available to come out and meet with us right away at Charles Farnham, knowing we were on such a tight timeline. And we did a walkthrough with them and met with them a couple times to, discuss what the needs are there, to take a look at the 2017 feasibility study, and they reviewed the 2017 feasibility study and updated it based on the walkthrough, and then provided us with two estimates, one to renovate and one to build new. And unfortunately, that estimate was much higher than we were originally hoping for. I believe it was $86,000 to build.
Million.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 86 million. Wouldn't that be nice?
Or 74 million.
Yeah, 86 million to build new and 70 to renovate. So in this case, they worked very hard on this. We included a lot of their, the bulk of their assessment and review in the proposal. That was the majority of the proposal.
I think you sent it all out to the board,
I did,
too. I
yeah.
had asked some good questions, and we sent it out to you. The answers. Yeah.
It's okay, she can still talk about it.
Yeah, so based on that number, and, we received that on Tuesday before the grant was due on Friday, we felt like the best approach would be to put in for the maximum amount, Hail Mary a little bit, and, just see what would happen, and I'm also figuring, there's probably a slim chance that we would get awarded, but either way, we would get some feedback from DOVIA, and we would have a better understanding come September as to, the types of projects they're awarding, and, if we are to reapply, like, the following year, we would know better what would be, like, the type of projects to ask for. So we felt that that was the best approach. And that's what we ended up doing. It was still a bit of a scramble to pull the whole application together, because we also collected for letters of support from Congressman Courtney's office and the head of the base and town manager Burt. So that was our strategy.
So 84 million to build new, 74 to renovate, right? And we're asking for 25. Doesn't add up.
Right, so if we were to be awarded the 25, the budget is on page 11. So we would then apply for a Connecticut State School Construction Grant in 46 to...
Excuse me 1 second. It was in the board packet. I don't have one of these.
No, it wasn't.
It's not on the board
It
packet.
might be online, but
Oh, you're into, because I see.
We sent it in an email, right? Answering.
Oh, the proposal.
Oh, so this is from Mike Senior.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me find it.
Yeah. So we would apply for a school construction grant in the $46 to $41 million range, and then we would also speak with the town about a potential municipal bond. But within the proposal, we are not committed to that, but this would be a potential strategy.
We also talked about a potential phased-in approach to it, so that you could do some work that was absolutely needed, prioritizing, because they were going through the building, kind of prioritizing areas that were needed ADA compliance and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, so again, this is a competitive grant program. I mean, I think if we were to be awarded $25 million, that would be really incredible, and hopefully we would, make the most of it. But we will know more, I think,
Mitch had his hand up.
I did, but you asked the question I was going to ask, so I'm good.
I don't know. I could foresee some stumbling blocks here with this grant.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a major project on it. So with any grant that we've received from DODEA in the past, the first year is always the planning year, and the application for a school construction grant wouldn't happen until, I believe, April of that first year. So there would be lots of opportunity to discuss and figure out.
And it's a 5-year grant.
It's a 5-year grant, yes.
Adrian, you have anything?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't read this whole, I saw this email came in today, but I didn't read it all, but if we were to be awarded the $25 million, but because we'd have to go to referendum to, and if that all didn't work, would we still be able to use that for renovation?
So again, since this is the first year of this grant program, we do not know if they're going to fully fund us or if they're going to partially fund. I would assume if they only partially funded us, then we would be able to revise the scope of the project. And of course, we don't have to accept the award. And yeah, I mean, that could all be something we could ask them after we
So if we received the full $25 million, we'd be expected to do a full renovation or building a new school?
I mean, that was the way it was written in the proposal. But again, we could either decline the award, or we could, if we wanted to do something different, we could ask them if we could.
And they're pretty good about making adjustments, like if we only got the 25 million but went back to the state to see if we could get the other 35 to put it together, you could certainly, with that kind of money, prioritize what needed to be done to renovate it.
But the goal for May 22nd was to get the application in.
My suggestion would be to really talk to the town about this, really, and see, just face to face, make an appointment with John Burt, talk to them about this, because they're not happy, as you know, with this whole process here. So I think you really should, no emails back and forth, just go make an appointment, sit down and talk with him. Because they're going to be responsible at the end, because we don't build the schools. The town's in charge of building the schools, not the Board of Education. So if we're doing all this without getting their input and seeing,
We had talked to John Burt, and he did write a letter, so we had talked to him about what we were seeing. So we can certainly meet with him. Yeah.
So was the grant, was it the beginning of May or May 22nd?
Those two, it was submitted on May 22nd.
All right. 'Cause I believe, I remember meeting, it looked like it was the end of April, and I thought it was 7 or 8 million.
In the middle of, so on May 11th, I presented it to you, and it was 12 million at that time. We were estimating ballpark we would be applying for, but that's before we realized that the project would actually be between 74 and 86 million, including contingencies.
But on May 11th, it was still just a smaller renovation.
No, when we talked about it on 12 million, on May 11th, we had talked about applying for a large, full renovation or new building.
And I think it goes back to the 2017 edition of that was more in that neighborhood. When we first looked at it, the architects were saying that, of course, in 10 years' time, costs have doubled, tripled, But back in that time frame, that's about what it would take for, fully renovating. It was more like the 12 million number.
What is the architect suggesting? Usually they tell you, it doesn't pay to renovate as new, you might as well build. What is he suggesting, or she, or whoever the people are?
In order to get a grant from the state department,
to build new, the estimate for building new has to be less than the cost to renovate as new. And in this particular case, the cost to renovate is less than to build new, so at least that's been past practice from the State Department.
Well, I really would suggest that you sit down with the town manager, and they're going to take a tour. They gave me 2 dates for the tour. It's June 24th or June 25th. I would suggest that we let them take a tour so they can have some buy-in on this.
Okay.
Unless it's going to be a stumbling block for us. So either June 24th
would probably be the best because we are cleaning up, wrapping up the day on the 24th. That's the last day of school.
Okay.
So I would say if we can get some time during the 25th, we'll make sure that happens.
Okay.
And for CD.
Well, this is for CD.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me
And
to
if
call
the town
John or you call
council,
John?
I'll call John because I want to set up a time that we can sit, Shannon and I can sit and Sam.
Mike.
I got a few questions. First one, so we get the budget breakdown, and for the renovation addition, in total was $71 million, and in both cases, the WEA grant is $25 million added there, and then the state contribution. But the part I want to focus in on is for the renovation, it says municipal bond $5 million, and then for new, it's $14.5 million. Town manager provided a letter of support. Was he comfortable with that phrasing in there? Inclusion of that? It seems like it's already almost being assumed.
No, so I mean, if you go back and read the proposal, it is not assumed. So it specifically says that we'll work with the town to assess the feasibility of obtaining like a municipal bond. There's no commitment that's required on behalf of the town. And that was what Town Manager Burke had asked when we submitted the application if they needed to provide a commitment up front, and that's if they didn't, and that's what is reflected in the proposal.
And the tenor of his letter of support was just, what was that saying?
It said that they support this application.
So you mentioned earlier 3 days between, I think it's getting the new estimate and then submitting. So I thought that's early, but I think that, so the estimate must come in midweek of that May 22nd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 19.
To get that update, that was definitely people time, did that cost the school district anything, and if so, how much?
It costs you time.
No, the outside, it was outside people who did the evaluation, right?
Right. Yeah.
Could they charge for that estimate, or was it like a free estimate, like a window repair?
You talking about the architect, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen a charge, but I can find out about that. They had, they're actually they are our architect that is
I
supports the
believe we
district.
have 1 more year on their contract.
We have architects on retainer?
Yes, I think this is that group, but I'll find out.
Tomorrow is possible.
We have an architect and a retainer.
Well, yeah, because they do a lot of things, especially emergency kind of things for us too.
So we have a contract with the architect for X amount of dollars for 3 years.
I've got it. I'll double check. That's what Sam.
Where, if I could just follow up on that, where is that in the budget?
I could find out for you. I could talk to
It's
them.
under professional fees.
And it's probably professional fees.
And how often do we use them? But we need them on retainer.
Oh, we had a couple of things go on us this year. I think that you had to have them come out, Sam. I'd have to look back.
Yeah, they only charge us when they work for us.
Oh, they only charge us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will be a charge. The estimate.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next question is, so the timeline was obviously condensed. That sort of happens when our first offering of a grant. Do we know when the grant was posted? Was it just a lag in discovery of it, or was it just a short timeline? Yeah.
No, I was waiting for it for months. It came out April 21st. So the RFP was released on that date. Unfortunately, again, since it's a new grant program, the MCAS grant is on hold, unfortunately, and this has taken its place. The RFP really didn't have that much detail in it. And like I said, since it's the first round, we really aren't entirely sure what types of projects they're going to be funding or, what our chances are.
Right.
We would go on to a webinar too, when they finally came out with some information.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't really get that.
So that's a month to get a very big grant deal,
You're right. It is.
And your first briefing to us about it was a look back, it was like April 27th.
Yeah.
So I'll look at I forget if it's a special meeting or just a meeting.
I do believe at an earlier meeting, I did mention that we would be anticipating it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's when the details were out.
Yeah.
So that compression of timeline was not the school district's making this thing. Made best use of the time, or good use of the time available. And then in the one thing that kind of perplexed me in the grant application was the enrollment predictions of the need for Charles Barnum to go from, say, around 300 students roughly to around 500 students. I wasn't sure about the timeline there. I sense some of that was tied to, like there was mention of the Columbia class submarine, but I haven't seen that enrollment study. Or if there is a study, I think that's something important for the school district.
I think Miranda commented on that, and she said they don't know how that's going to play out because they don't know. Did you see it? She said, no, Mike. Miranda, she's Chapman, and she said they don't know how many families will be coming with the guys on the Columbia class, and even if they're going to be so she's unclear about that. She said
How do you
nothing
get
yet.
closer to when they get stationed here? Like you can't really, there's no crystal ball, but we know that they're going to be double crews, blue and gold. And the Columbia class is a very big ship, so you'll have more people than we've ever had in the Los Angeles class, plus double the number. But they have to have affordable housing here in Groton. Now, we do have Beacon Point homes, and I think they're prioritized for military families. But, you can't just say that they all will be stationed here.
And you can't say they're going to have families. That's what she's saying, too.
Yeah.
They may only be here for a year, so they might not even bring their families. So we really can't say anything about enrollment increasing. I don't think that's my opinion, because we don't really know for sure.
Well, the captain did say that it was more than a year, and families would probably be coming with them. He did state that, Captain Liddy, at the superintendent liaison meeting. But we just don't know how many of them have children.
That's not what she said.
I think Mitch has mentioned this before, and I think we can confidently say that Columbia-class submarines won't be stationed at the sub-base in the near future because any base needs upgrades, renovations for that, and it's going to be Kings Point, Georgia, and Bangor in Washington. So what you're talking about is Columbia-class submarines being fired
with 10 crews over the next 5 years.
But you're just getting it started, or what? Because they're not stationed at the
But
submarine.
they're stationed to be on that submarine and help with the.
But not the sub base and electrical.
Yeah, but that's still
knows much more about this.
Shannon does our impact aid numbers, so she knows a lot too about that.
Wait, because Mitch has his hand up, Ian had his hand up. So are you all done, Mike?
I've got one more later, but this one I wanted to hear about, and I know Wendy knows more about it than I do.
Okay, I'll call on Mitch, then Ian, and then Jen.
During the late stages of construction, in answer to your question, they bring the crew on and they start accepting parts of the boat. Okay, and as to where they live, It used to be places right at Electric Boat for a lot of the crew, and then on the sub base or in other Navy housing. Okay, but they're not here usually for that long a period of time, maybe 6 months. But anyway, my question was regarding the architect. Is that the same architect who designed Northeast Academy?
And got middle school?
No.
No? No, okay.
Okay, so we learned a lesson from that.
That's the right answer.
Okay, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to kind of reiterate the point that one, yeah, the boat's not going to necessarily be here for that size vessel. It's not going to be a long-term engagement here stationed unless they do massive renovations up there. So, and it sounds to me like if they're just here like to do the final fit out of the vessel, then it's going to be, like you said, 6 to 8 months. That's a temporary engagement. Doubt the family's going to be coming in for that. And also say there are other fast attacks that are assigned here, the Virginia classes or whatever. There's no guarantee that the family's going to want to live in Groton, or if there's availability. I mean, my family's history, like my family did not live in Groton, but my father was stationed in Groton. So, even though I was born here, I do not live here. So, it's just that's a lot of hypotheticals. For Columbia classes, I don't think we can bank on that, because they're going to be temporary at best.
What was said to us at the superintendent liaison meeting from the captain of the base.
Got it.
Yours, any response yet?
Well, I guess I'd be curious, like, if the follow-up on that is, does that mean they're planning to start stationing Columbia classes here?
No, but it sounded to me longer than 6 months that they could come with family. But I'll double check with that. I'll ask him myself when I see him.
All right. Sorry. That's all.
Jen, talk about it.
I could be wrong, but we're at like 2 plus 1, right? So if we deliver in 28, we're going to deliver in 1 plus every year thereafter, assuming we're on schedule. Before the boat is delivered, they are not, from my understanding, and like I said, I could be wrong, lots of caveats here, but the people are stationed to the boat, and it could be a year. They're learning, training, understanding that boat, so when it gets delivered to the Navy, they're good to go. And the people on that boat are, they're the ones manning the boat when it leaves ED. So whether those people have families or not is unknown, right? But if you wanted, and Susan can take this, you take a Virginia class, X amount of people on the boat has family, and you double that for a Columbia class, just as a rough estimate. You can sort of get a feel for maybe what we're going to be faced with regarding students. And from my understanding during the budget process, you had mentioned that there were some kids who were supposed to be in Charles Barnum who have gotten moved out to either Northeast Academy or Thames or Catherine Kolowski. So if the school is expanded and the students can be closer to their homes so that they're not taking like a 45-minute bus ride, that goes to the quality of the students' welfare.
I remember that presentation from Warren, and it was double the amount of kids that would have been neighborhood into that school versus the ones who attended.
It's all how you view how we want this district. I know we're like a magnet, but there's something to be said regarding community schools too.
Yeah, but we have the same problem in Branford Manor. Those kids are shipped out over to the other side of town.
Yeah.
So, the same thing. What was that?
Yes.
Mike?
Yeah, so my last question was about the Charles Barnum move. So we're at the town council, board of ed, RTM, city council liaison meeting, and They mentioned that the roof for Charles Barnum, that project won't get done this summer. I think we were thinking that might be the case. And that, is that accurate?
I believe it's accurate, yes.
Yeah. So, and then we're at our 5-year limit for that CIP. So, and it's to get an extension for a CIP that happens for many reasons, and so that's something we'd have to go before the town council and the RTM, or maybe town council for. So I guess my question is, do we still need to do the roof if our plan A is to build a new school?
That's the conversation that we had with John Burt, and to me, and he said that we are welcome to come back and ask for the extension once we see where we are with this potential project. It's between the DAS and the movement with the bids. We just didn't think we'd have it finished by the beginning of the school year. And we thought, should we start renovation? Why would we put on a new roof and spend $1 million of the town's money when potentially, we could wait? And I checked with the principal. I said, are there any leaks that you know of that if we waited a year that would be compromised? And she said no. And Sam says they take care of anything as it happens right away. So he thought that waiting a year or two would not be the end if we could have a more viable program or more viable project for CB that would really take care of those, at least the priority projects that have been designated.
So if we build a new school, Charles Barnum, at least during this timeline that seems reasonable, would at least be as is in activity until 2030. Can the roof survive that? I mean, so it was identified as need over 5 years ago. That's when the CIP was approved. And so another 4 years, basically a decade, permit the rounding it up. Like a roof that already needed repair. Is it too long to ask it to hold out until 2030?
Will the roof survive another 5 years?
I don't know if it could or not, but John Burt also said that we can go to the town council and ask for an extension on the CIP.
And the last question about the roof is, I can't remember, I apologize, solar on that one or not?
No.
We got rid of that? Okay.
Because we'd have to pay for it outright. Do you remember that one was different than the other ones that we have done? Yeah.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other questions about Charles Barnum?
Just more a statement. I mean, John Byrne may say that we can ask the town council for an extension. Doesn't mean they're inclined to give it.
Right. Any other discussion? Anyone online? Jay, you have anything? Andrea?
No.
Okay. That's it? All right. I'd like to see this back on the agenda again because I think it is a very sticky topic, especially with the town council. So we could put it back on the agenda and for the summer.
Okay.
And come back again with this. And Mitch?
When we talk about it again, would it be possible to get more information about what the renovations are and to do a comparison, because the two numbers are relatively close together for a renovation versus a new building?
I think we actually have the architectural plans, don't we, for the project? Sam, did they did a...
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty basic. Again, we put this together over 2.5 weeks for us. So this is a rough estimate for a budget along with the plans. And we're happy to share that just for including on the actual, but, I'm sure if we were lucky enough to be awarded $25 million, we would spend a lot of time that first year reviewing everything.
making sure it was doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, or what could be done
Yeah.
with that and the state money.
Yeah, because what would you do if the town doesn't want to move forward with this, and you had the $25 million? How would we spend that?
Right. I mean, we would have to, I guess, work with our architect to see if we could,
What could we do with that?
we could instead, if we had to do a renovation project, is there items that could be cut or be done differently to lower the cost? And it did seem like they put in, it seemed to me like a pretty large contingency. I don't know what that typically is, but
Even with the roof project that comes in at $1 million, the town doesn't pay the $1 million because we get some of that funding back because they're putting that money up front, but then we would get money back, and I think the roof would cost us more like $600,000 if those are the right numbers. So, whatever we took on, we'd have to take on what we could afford, but at least we would be able to upgrade the school in some way. Should it come in, but like you said, it's a lot of prayers to get something like that. But we were encouraged by the Dodia folks, the people that we work with all the time, and she said, go for it, because I don't think there were a lot of people, but who knows what happened in the end. Yeah, so.
But we're going to be encouraged by the town, too, because they're going to have to put some money into this.
Well, we did talk to the town manager, and he seemed like, he wrote the letter, and he seemed encouraged by it, so I don't know what.
yeah, I mean, he was very supportive of the project, and then at the same time reminded us that the town has a lot of projects that they're trying to fund also.
So the build new and renovate is Plan A. Can you give us maybe in a month what Plan B would be like if the town council doesn't give us any money? And we just have to spend the $25 million?
I mean, that I think would involve going back to the architect and coming up with-
Prioritizing.
Yeah.
But even if you put in the $25 million, you'd still get $35 million from the state, because that would be the matching fund.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think that should be the CCC happens in maybe September to see if we're in the these funds or not, and then be prepared to, address that at that time.
And we'll let the board know every step of the way, so where we go next. Yeah.
Mike?
So actually, you mentioned the ideas, the proposed and new renovation, the details. And so we got the grant. I wasn't going to ask for this, but I think it's useful. Can you send us the attachments?
Yep.
So it's like the certifying official statement from architect and engineering firm, facility condition assessment of the construction study, enrollment projections from the MLSC meeting minutes, like too much military liaison.
I think they have been sent, but we can send the package.
Yeah.
We'll just send, send all the attachments, and then the architectural drawings of proposed new renovation / addition, cost estimates for each, and then the letters of support.
Anything else?
It was a marathon to get it done, but Shannon did pull it off, so we are grateful.
I feel like a sprint.
Yeah, that's very good. That's our terminology.
I don't like mine.
Next on the agenda is attachment 4 and the 3 options.
Okay. So we wanted to bring you 3 viable options, but we did want to also start with where we have been on the journey. And I talked to the coaches today when we were in the workshop, checking things out about that. So we had first looked at, and we can turn the slide, we first talked about the bubble, but it was at a cost of $220,000, and it had a short lifespan. It could be blown up and taken down, but it wasn't hurricane-proof. So we learned early on, even though, we thought that could be, because we've seen the one that is for the volleyball and the sand over there off of Route 12. The next one was one that, something like you had said, Chris, where you would have had the containers. We thought, we have those 2 containers, and then it would be some kind of a makeshift garage with fabric. And that was at $85,000, but again, short lifespan, not hurricane proof. I thought the containers would hold it down, but obviously not. So, then the next one that we had talked about was a fabric building, and it was at $240,000. Quick deployment, reoccurring cost, but also again not wind resistant for being on the top of Fort Hill at Fitz High School.
Are these all option one?
No, these are previous, so they're not even our options. These are past tense. They didn't work, but we were investigating to see. And then the first one, Clint is not able to be with us. He had a family emergency that they had to take care of. So there was a company went through ClearSpan. It's a metal building. We looked at first the half field, pre-engineered structure. They'll come out and build it right there where we decided to build it. They'll have to put a slab of concrete down.
That could be Wyoming, build your own floor.
Build your own floor. Wind load exposure, whoops, go back. Wind load exposure meets the requirement with hurricane winds. Design roof snow load meets the requirements, and it's shipped to Fitch High School, and I think part of the cost is also constructing it too, which anytime I'm thinking about these projects and I think of Sam and his team, I try to find those that can come with some man and woman power to get them up right. So next page, we really look at the structure itself and the dimensions, and it has on either side, we talked about that today when we were there, it can be set out right beside the wood shop, and it has 2 garage doors on each end and also 2 doors of access. So that really makes for a real safe building made of metal where you have access on both sides, reminiscent of what we've been through with Mary Morrison, expected to have 2 egresses for early childhood. This does the same thing for robotics.
Sam, if you have anything to say, just jump in.
Sam, jump in.
Okay. You're a facilities guy, so jump in and get something to say.
If somebody asks me a question, I'd be happy to answer it.
Okay.
And then we have the particulars, which are on the next page. And the building shipped and constructed is $106,672. The cement floor may range a little more than that. Utilities and HVAC, although we have been granted some of the funds that we're going to be requesting to do the inside structure for circuits and internet, and I know, we've talked about that, electric, so that in totality, the structure is just under $200,000. And then the next one is, I said, well, what would the full field? Because Dan had come to us with a proposal in the beginning, but I just actually got the numbers. But he had said it's over $500,000 for a full field. And so looking at that proposal versus this one, I said, what about this ClearSpan? If they doubled the size to make a full field, what would the cost be? So the engineering, similarly, is just larger, longer space, build your own floor again, wind load, exposure, same thing. It's, hurricane, I don't know, I don't want to call it proof or resistant.
Resistant is a better term.
Yeah, but it holds up to the wind better than any of these others. And then if we go to the next slide, you can see that it's really a basketball field, double in length. And turning over to the specs, this one shipped and constructed is $143,252. Cement floor, 50, 60, 70, I'm not sure exactly. We'd have to have someone come out. Utilities, HVAC, same thing. All the things to make the inner workings of the building is about $50,000. And the total is about $243,252. So, and I think you can see, if you have your glasses on like me, the particulars about the description of the product and custom beam design and engineering. I know that I felt like if you look at both of those, and you think about Sam's as a third, these two are definitely on the more affordability side. I've talked to Adrian because, we were in close connection last week, talking back and forth, and he had suggested that we look for what happens if it takes time to build, or it takes time to ship, or we have to find the resources to do that. What are some of the short term? And so you see the short term rental, and I'll let you, Shannon, since you kind of investigated this, you and Clint, about that Mystic Business Park. Should it become available?
Yeah, I just called over there, and they told us the type of spaces that they have available, and based on what the team is looking for, they recommended 2 30 by 40-foot spaces that are adjacent to one another. Unfortunately, they don't have anything right at this time, and they were sort of reluctant to commit as to when they might have something available. I also called over to Mystic Indoor Sports. My kids used to go there. I know the field unfortunately isn't being used anymore, and we just kind of missed that opportunity because they've already gone ahead and converted their field into a warehouse and shelving and everything. So that was what I found out.
And in talking to the coaches, that's not the most convenient. The most convenient is definitely to have a field on the property at Fitch where the kids have access to. So if this were short term for a couple months, that would be something, but I think we really have to think about long term. And what are your thoughts?
I just have a question. No, you guys go first. Go ahead. Second, Sean Anderson.
Yeah, Sean first.
So I'd like to hear from the team about how detrimental it would be to have a half field versus having the full field. How does that feel? And then I don't even know why we're presented with the option of number 3 if it's not available.
For the short term?
Yeah.
We just didn't find another space that was available, but it doesn't mean that we can't keep looking.
Yeah, I mean, if you get an idea of what the cost would be, and I mean, it is a nearby option if it becomes available. I'm going to keep following up with them. And I think a couple people had asked about what the space was like over there. So.
Sherry, please, you want to pull your chairs up and answer Sean's question?
Quick on the short term.
Because I think Ian had his hand up before you. Answer Sean's question.
Yeah, so of course a full field would be ideal. It would give our students exactly what they're going to, experience at the competition. But this year we were able to make it work with a half field, and I think that we could certainly do that if that's what we have. It's much better than not having a field, which would be detrimental to our team. So we can make it. We can make it work.
Yes, I mean, full field is ideal. Full field is ideal, but half field is practical. No field is really a step back. I know previously, the team was at high school in the past. They did some testing and stuff out in different hallways, but I mean, from a practical aspect, dragging things out in the hallways isn't good. We don't want to tear up the hallways for the school. Custodian's already busy enough, trying not to make more work for them. So I think either option would work. It's just, along with Sherry, I'm concerned about just time frame. I mean, and it's just because I've been around New England a long time. I know how long it takes to get things done, right? Unfortunately, you start digging the state and you find the Connecticut state flower. And so it takes a little bit of work to prepare for that. So, and I guess the other thing is I mean, these numbers seem low to me just because of projects that I've been involved with. I don't know if there was any sort of contingency built in or, I mean, there's always what ifs, right? We start something, we always run into something, right? You start digging and you find Indian burial ground, then we stop, right? I mean, so it's like, what do we do? And these just, once again, the things of living in New England and the joy that we have to do. But yes, team-wise, we could make either space work. Larger space, of course, would be better. We could do more with it, but we can make the smaller space work. It would essentially be similar to what we have, currently in the current garage.
What are field dimensions?
Wait.
Remember that?
Wait, because Mitch has his hand up too. And Sean, are you done?
Done.
Okay. Ian was next, and then...
Well, yeah, so my question had more to do with, like, how fast have we vetted it all, the turnaround time, as far as, like, say, miraculously we somehow approve an option and secure the funding between now and July 1. And, say, starting with July 1, how soon what permits do we need, what approvals do we need, how soon could this all happen? Could it conceivably be done and ready to go by September 1? That's my question. And yeah, I think I'll just pick up on Mike's question. What are the dimensions of a full field and a half field?
The dimensions of a full field are 27 feet wide, 54 feet long, approximately, depending upon the features of the game. It may change a little bit, but on average it's 27 by 54, so a half field would be 27 by 27.
But we wanted area around it.
Right.
Because that's
And
really important.
that's part of it we took into consideration, is the fact that you need an apron around it for fire department access, stuff like that. So
10 feet, please?
yeah, so I think I think when I looked at it, the 40-foot wide building would give us, I think, 6 or 7 feet on either side. So,
Would a structure like this enable the robotics team to host events and competitions? Or no?
A full field would.
A full field would? Okay. That's all I got for now. I guess, is there an answer to the question? Have we vetted it all, the turnaround time, as far as approvals,
We
permits?
felt very optimistic that they could be ready to go, but now the process through the town, we've noticed with Mary Morrison, does take time. You need to have the fire chief agree, but because we feel like this particular building has met some of the requirements that he had suggested needed to meet, that gave us a little more time. But we're experiencing it with Mary Morrison. This construction period has taken us a few months, but it's going to be ready for the beginning of school.
So we have thoughts, but no conversations have been had with anyone?
But he's not here to tell me exactly what the conversation was, but he seemed to feel very optimistic.
Can we get an update from Clint tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying, Susan, that it will be ready by September?
I don't know that it would be ready by September.
okay.
First of all, we've got to find the funds, too.
Right, exactly.
Now, there are, Shannon and I are working with certain, CT Connecticut ready, CT ready. And Sean McEwen, who's up at the State Department, and also First Robotics is, EB also has a robotics department that, we're going to try to get in touch with our contacts there.
Just one last thought on that. The full field option would allow for the team to host events. So that's something to consider too, because that could be a revenue generation.
To charge for them. Charge to come to the
I'm not sure how the whole that end of the operation works as far as I guess would there be an opportunity for revenue generation there?
That's a great question. I don't honestly know. I know in the competitions that we've been to, the school teams or other school clubs or entities will do fundraising sales and stuff like that, concession sales and stuff like that. But I don't know if, because quite frankly, setting up a first field is expensive. I mean, just based upon the yearly fees that we pay, so for registration for a season. So I don't really see that as really an income generator for them. It's really actually one of their largest expenses.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, we did host an off-season competition years ago here, and the team was able to get some funding for the team with concessions, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, mention in your mic.
Okay, I got a couple of questions. One is, who's going to be, and by who, I mean, which groups are going to be using this facility?
Well, I would think that it would be the home to the adopted robotics team, and then because their season really, like Sherry has mentioned, their actual practice time and your competition time is in the winter time. But, they like to have it set up so they can do open houses and,
Right.
The other thing we talked about is your camp that you and Ben Moon run.
Yeah.
We could expand that camp for middle school, get middle schoolers more involved and excited about robotics. So I think that would actually help us grow the team. So the sky's the limit of how we can expand this for robotics, by having the space.
I thought there was going to be an academics class in robotics that we were going to offer.
There is, but I don't think it can be in the field space. It'll be in the room at Fitch High School. We will be teaching robotics eventually. I think it might be semester 2 once it's gone through the curriculum committee.
So this is primarily for the robotics team.
Well, I would say it's for robotics as part of the dream, and certainly you could have a class go out there and use the field space should they need it. But during their competition time, they kind of set it up so there might be parameters around that when they're set up that we'd be using it for robotics.
Okay. I think I may already have heard the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it regarding the budget. There's nothing in the budget for this. So we don't have any money for it. Okay. And do other schools that participate in these robotics team competitions have similar spaces and buildings available?
Some teams do.
Right.
Most successful teams do have a practice field available.
It runs, being an international program, it runs the gamuts. There are some teams that have worked very hard that have full-on standalone facilities. And part of that is because first is just the high school level, right? But then you have FTC, which is like the middle school level, and then Lego League, which is like the elementary school level. And they do all three. And a space like this could potentially give us the opportunity to expand into that area. I would love to see some more of that. I know we've worked with Ben Moon for years. So the answer is it totally depends. It depends upon the area. Also, a lot of the teams are not necessarily sponsored by schools. They're sponsored by other civic organizations like 4-H and 4-H and the YMCA and stuff like that. And like one of the teams in Vermont is pretty much standing up. 4-H, they built their own facility similar to like what we have. I don't believe they have a full field, but they have pretty much essentially what we have right now in the garage shop, and they serve the Rutland area. They call themselves the Rutland Area Robotics, so they serve the Rutland, Vermont area.
Southeastern Connecticut, though, I don't think there's space unless the Waterford Mall NBD wants to put something there.
Community space.
There's not
There's not anything
community
in this area.
space in this area, no.
So I think it would be kind of that would be awesome to be able to have those kind of, collaboration competitions and have a field here. And maybe there is a source of revenue that could come back.
And just to go along with that, part of what FIRST wants us to do is to be ambassadors of STEM out into the community. right? So having a space like this would afford more of that opportunity. I mean, me personally, I would love to see us working with the elementary schools and, having them work with the Lego robots, and then we could host a, district-wide mini competition in our area, right, and have the different schools compete for a district level event. I think it's an excellent opportunity to get the kids excited about it and add to everything that they're already learning.
Okay, I have one more question. Has there been an effort, I was recently talking to one of the graduating seniors who was on cheerleading and said we had to do a lot of our own fundraising. Has there been an effort to do any of that?
Well, we fundraise every year to run the team. And our, correct me if I'm wrong, $20,000? Our approximately operating budget for the last several years has been $20,000 plus. And we, the team, have raised that. We've sourced our own grants, we do our own fundraising, that we have sustained the team all this time. Really all we've had from the district has been the building, right? We had Pleasant Valley for years, then we were at the high school this year.
And the coaching staff.
Yeah, stipend for the staff.
And the opportunity, but the short answer is there a possibility for fundraising? Yes. I don't know how much, right? On top of what we already do. Right, Shannon's helped us with some grants. We've attained some other grants. The answer is yes, probably anything is possible, but I don't know right off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, and then Dr. A, you're after Mike.
Thanks, I got a couple, maybe a few. My first question, are there any other teams like in the area that have like a half field or a full field that they use to practice on? I don't know if it's a team.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that we're aware of.
No.
I know Ledyard has a team. New London has a team. Old Lyme has a team, but none of them have.
I'm not sure of them, but Ledyard and New London do not have.
Do we know what they do? I mean,
They scramble. We have at different times actually have them come over and practice with us because we had space that they could use. So we've worked with them in the past.
I was wondering if you lose competitive advantage if you went in halvesies on a rented space with Ledyard, for instance, or full disclosure.
Lose competitive advantage? No. And the reason why I say that is because one of the tenets of FIRST is what they call cooperation, right? You are competing, but you're working in an alliance of three with two other teams to achieve the goal of the game. So in the spirit of FIRST and in the spirit of what they teach the kids, no, there would not be, quite frankly, I think it would be the opposite. It would allow for more collaboration. There would be more learning opportunities for them, more, sharing of ideas, because that's what happens every competition. Where we're sitting in the pits between two teams, they're like, hey, we're having a problem, do you have one of these? Or, oh, that's pretty cool what you did, how did you do that, right? So we're constantly talking to each other and supporting and sharing ideas.
That's great. So my concern is, regardless of the first two options, is that I feel like this won't be built in time. It's just guessing. I'm concerned that we won't have a field or a half field for next year. Shannon, you mentioned the business park option, but there's nothing available right now. Was that because asking for two side-by-side spaces, or they just don't have one?
Is it nothing right now?
Okay. Let's keep pinging them. Because I think we're going to need that, a short-term option regardless.
And I'll get you information from what Clint says is, the doable plan of getting it, should we get one of these grants.
So my feeling is, just having been on the RTM before and on government and on the Board of Ed, is that the scale of this is, I mean, also slow timeline, this feels like a CIP, capital improvement project, so that it can go through all the echelons of government and, build support. Who knows where it gets to? I know there's some weaknesses in the system, but it feels like a true capital improvement. So, and that has a longer timeline. So that's why I think that the short-term option is something we should keep pressing on. Susan, you mentioned just briefly that you said to have been granted some of the funds for electric work. What's that grant?
It's a, what did you call it, a national, we just can't say the corporate name yet.
It's a $50,000 grant, right?
That's right.
Oh, that's for the, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And would that have to be toward building one, or?
I think it's pretty open-ended.
I love the crystal ball idea.
I know.
The bridge is a game stopper. Then my other question is, so I'll ask you, Susan, or Sarah, you can answer. All the votes are to Clinton, our head of IT, your head of facilities.
They kind of collaborated on this.
Well, I feel more comfortable with things coming from you because I can see, okay, I definitely before I would think about that myself, but then what you might think about that others wouldn't is, or I didn't. I put up a umbrella in my backyard. I thought, this is the flat part of my yard. I'm just looking at it today. Oh, yeah.
What did you build?
I just put up an umbrella. I think that's the angle. And so I look at the area that we have, and I looked at that and thought, that's flat. And then today I thought, nothing's flat. How much site fill prep work has to be done before you even put down the floor? Like, I feel like there's probably another line that has to go in that you can tell us about.
Probably a 3 to 4 foot grade difference there from one end of that building to the other.
And so that you can't have. So what do you do there?
Well, you cut and fill. So
Yeah.
you cut one end and fill the other.
I actually had that map dropped in your
He has that practice though, because if you notice any of the buildings that we have in our schools, properties, they're smaller. They're more like trailer size. But he's used to putting out these foundations and getting things set up for us.
And then this is just me thinking on the spot with just out of ignorance, really. I know the wood shop is somehow that exists as some kind of space that you get to eventually, but I know it's close to one of the gyms just through the outside. Could a portal be built? Just to protect from the elements from the wood shop, which houses an outside rolling floor, and then into.
It's a ramp they can roll down.
I'm serious. So it's a short pathway to the gym.
It's actually a short distance inside the building without going outside. It's a short distance going inside, staying inside the building. As long as it went outside, through the doorway, which it should, it's a short distance to one of the gyms.
Inside the building?
Yes.
I could never find a way back to that.
You just have to practice.
So anyway, I was just wondering, along those short-term, like this season lines, there might have to be a gym option if there's not something else. So glad to hear you can get there inside. That's good.
Okay, I'm going to let Adrian go first because he did have his hand up before you did. Go ahead, Adrian.
All right.
Where am I in this?
Yeah, after Adrian. I apologize.
Okay.
Your arm's getting tired up there, right?
It's not fair.
All right, so I asked for that short term because I just see it extremely unlikely that we're going to build anything this winter. And I kind of came up with the warehouse thing, not knowing if it would work, but just as something to talk about. So would that work having a field that is not next to your manufacturing center?
Transporting students would be.
Sherry, can you talk a little
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yes, transporting students from the shop to an outside location would be a challenge.
So if we had like, so we basically need to have like a small bus or a van or something that could take kids and parks back and forth.
Right.
So we do have an after-school bus that may be able to help support that, but then parents would have to then pick them up at the warehouse, or if they went there to do a...
I mean, we could.
I mean, we do have 2 after-school buses that, leave at different times, so...
Yeah.
And it's down the hill.
This gets me to, if it's only going to be, if it's a short-term thing, what's going on with the gym at Butler?
I don't know, that environment was...
We went for a walk through, and honestly, I was in there 20 minutes and I was sick for a week.
But there may be other options to keep looking at if we need something for this, because, I think a larger facility is obviously the ultimate goal, but I would rather do something that's well thought out and well planned and looks like it should be there, rather than a kind of a tent-looking industrial.
No.
Maybe not tent-looking, but a very industrial-looking building that's kind of...
Kind of reminded me of a barn.
Well, I mean, these are so...
You don't like these buildings? Is that what you're saying, Adrian?
I have seen them before, and they look very industrial. Like, they don't look like they have to be there for a long time. It is going to be kind of right in the middle of, any sport, in between the building and the football field and the tennis courts.
But you can have the logo aluminum Falcons.
Well, so that gets me to my next thing. I mean, I'm still somewhat skeptical on pricing because, I think that these might be ideal numbers, possibly given to you by the person that's selling the building. And I think rather than Clint, I would feel much more comfortable if you were to talk to an architect.
Yeah.
Since we have one on
Retainer.
Retainer, maybe ask them, is this the guy to decide and we build this thing for $250,000? Or, because I think that, this stuff looks good, but all right, I was just looking, the doors aren't included. The doors are very expensive, like those big rolling doors. We have to, no. I think maybe the installation of it is, but the door's not. But that's like a small thing. This probably doesn't include any insulation, assuming that robotics is in the winter, so we need to spray some insulation in the building. The slab requires perimeter foundations. It's going to, I think that's going to be expensive. We probably need to get water to it to run, at minimum, eye wash in sinks or something like that for safety. Maybe not sprinklers, and also electricity. Do we have electricity that's easy to get to on the exterior wall of that of the wood shop, or are we going to have to get it somewhere else? Because sometimes that stuff gets very expensive. So I guess I shouldn't be talking to you about it. It's not your. You have to be talk to Sam and maybe Susan. So I would rather than having Clint, Clint's got a ton to do with IT. I think we should let him do that and ask an architect.
I think sending the plans to the architect is a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think for if we're going to have budgetary numbers, we might as well have some that are vetted by people that do it for a living.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, how can the HVAC and utilities for the half field be the same as for the full field?
Well, I think these are just budgeting numbers, right? These aren't actual.
Right. Yeah.
I think if we're going to use budgeting numbers, we should ask an architect.
The only quote we have is for the actual structure.
And I mentioned before, we have a few friends that actually built these type of structures, and they weren't as easy as anyone thought starting.
Well, that's why it was kind of interesting that they would build it for this amount, too. They're going to come in and construct it, which I thought was...
And then as soon as the concrete is out, 1.5 inches from one side to the other, and everything's I just see it, and concrete takes a month to dry after they do the foundation, so I think it's very unlikely that anything's going to happen next year.
And not September, I mean, let alone, like, I mean, you probably need something, what, in like November? You need a real field, November, December, or something like that, you can make it work. But I don't, even on that time frame, it's unlikely to go through the thought process. So I do kind of, I think we should try to think about a more permanent structure, but I think we should do it that.
Okay. Dr. A, you're on.
It seems to me that we discussed this at length at the curriculum on the committee meeting. And I know that I'm not interested in pursuing this unless it's directly, unless it's directly related to curriculum and courses offered at Fitch High School. And we asked Dr. Mancini to look into how other districts are approaching the offering of robotics in curriculum within the state of Connecticut. Not in terms of clubs, but in the curriculum itself. And until we have her report back, I'm not interested in pursuing this any further until I hear from her, we hear from her, and how other districts are implementing robotics into curriculum. And Dr. Mancini, correct me if I'm wrong.
You did ask me to do that. That was just a couple of weeks ago. I thought I had a little bit more time. I'm sorry, Dr. Ackerman.
No, I know. I just want to make sure that I'm not remembering things incorrectly, that my note-taking was correct, and that I said that I would like to have this done, and you know where I am on it until I hear what other districts are doing.
When you do robotics, right?
Yeah.
And that's a class.
Yes.
Are they going to be ever using the field? I mean, you have robotics 1, you're going to have robotics 2. At some point, will they be using the field also?
I can't speak to that. I think we would have to, talk to the instructor.
We do have an instructor for military science who also taught robotics in his district, and he would be able to do that and teach a class of robotics to get started.
So will they be using the field also if we have a field, the class?
I mean, they could potentially use it, yeah. I mean, I'd have to ask the instructor how he used to do that. I have not met him yet, but...
Okay. Are you all set, Dr. A?
So I just want to clarify that if it's related to curriculum, and I'm understanding that we won't be able to offer anything until second semester this year anyway, or this coming year, and that it has to be related to curriculum courses taught at Fitch High School, and not simply a club.
Okay. Janet.
That's it for me.
Thank you. Janet.
Option 1, Sam, and option 2, it looks like one's just larger. I've seen buildings where they build a small one, then they tear down the back wall, then they extend it. Does this have that feature?
Well, I guess I was...
I spent 20 years building these buildings, as one of my companies built these buildings for 20 years. You would have to have an expandable, what they would call an expandable end wall on that end of the building, which is another expense.
I know, but if
It would be
we can't-
designed in it. It could be, yes.
Because if we can't afford it now, then maybe like a year or 2 years from now, we can get a full
It has to be
field.
planned when you
Yes,
build the
but-
building, yes.
So when we're looking, maybe I could make a suggestion, if we are looking and we can only afford option 1, the smaller version, that we make sure that it has potential for growth, and that if it is approved and placed on site, that the expansion is taken into account regarding land space. So it wouldn't be in the center of the current field, but to the left or to the right, so that we can either expand. And then I know we're looking at Flanders, but isn't there like another business center like near the airport across from the National Guard facility? I don't know if anyone has looked there. I'm not really sure what they have there. I just know that I see signs for a business park. So, yeah, like nearby. Sure. So.
It was interesting, though, the half field to the full field was just like $40,000 difference. So that's why I really want to give it to the architect, because it feels like that's such a small differential that if we're able to do the big one and we get the grants, but I want to ensure that these costs are accurate. But that's what they were giving us as their price.
Yes, and we should vet it before we vote, so still agreement with what Adrian said, which should have been done, is to have it run through our architect.
You second?
Yes.
Sure. Can you
let's have a guess, yeah.
And then you jump in, Sean.
I don't know if we're adding another layer on this process by asking an architect to look at it too, because these companies that do this, Clearspan, whether we're talking about the option that I gave you, those companies actually have designers that work for them and do this, and then they have an architect actually, or an engineer actually stamp the drawings at the end. I mean, if you want an architect to look at it too, they can, but these companies can do all of that without adding another layer to it. But we'll follow through with whichever way you decide.
Well, as long as they're doing it, and I guess if they're vetting it and they have that and it's being assessed, last thing you need is to purchase something and then it wasn't fully assessed. But if the company that is full service, then we don't need to add that. I think the board is just, at least from my perspective, concerned, right, that we're buying something and we may not necessarily have the skill sets in place to ensure that this is put up correctly and evaluated. So if the company that we should we move forward does this as a service and is part of the agreement, then I don't think we need an architect. It's just that there is concern that we don't want to put up a building without all of that, because especially with what was attached, right, it doesn't say that, like the comprehensive full services as part of the build.
I think those stamped architectural plans, though, do have a cost to them. So we would have to pay for those, if we were that serious about it. So, yeah.
Okay, Sean, and then Mitch.
So, my question is, I know that we investigated option 3 and there's nothing available there. Have we looked at talking to the town about open, say, retail spaces? I can think off the top of my head, Renegade Fitness Building is no longer being used currently. TJ Maxx just moved. There's a big opening there. There could be other options within the town if we talk to the town council or the town planning committee to see what else is out there. I drove by TJ Maxx yesterday and noticed how every light was on and how big that area is. That might be I know that's not ideal for back and forth, but that could be an option.
Stan?
Is Renegade the old Benny's building?
Yeah.
Next to it.
It's the first part. The old Benny's is taken now.
How much was that when we checked the first time?
Yeah, I don't remember the number. I fell off my seat when they gave it to me.
It's probably more like $3,000 a month.
Oh, it was no.
Cable TV and we pay over $3,000 for space for set TV on the board of directors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive.
You all set, Sean?
I'm good. Yeah, I just want that to be on the record as an option.
Okay, Mitch, and then Ian.
Okay, I thought I heard earlier on in this meeting that the Board of Ed doesn't build schools, the town does. How does this fit in to that?
Sam, you got an answer to that?
I don't have an answer to that.
I didn't have an answer either, so I'll keep it to you.
We use portable buildings, though, and greenhouses, and you have done that.
Well,
But you have to get the permission.
From the
Go
town.
through all, yeah. building.
So we still have to get permission from the town.
Yeah, building.
But that's Mitch's question, right? Yeah.
Well, that's part of my question. I knew you'd have to get permission and permits and so forth, but this is a big thing. Who's going to own this thing? Who's going to build it?
The company.
Well, I mean, is it the BOE or is it going to be the town?
The way it sounds, it's going to, like the BOE's going to do it.
We get the grants, but then what Adrian said, or Mike said, it sounds very CIP-able too.
And that brings us back to Adrian's thing. What's the robotic team going to do? Oh, team, right? Did I get that right?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Team.
Going to do in the meantime? If it's a CIP, because that could drag on forever. So,
Okay, thank you.
okay, Ian.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Adrian for bringing up the idea of cross-vetting this with an architect. A few things reading the language here. It said standard wage building installation on slab by others. And then it also refers to, in the italics print, the last sentence of the first paragraph, overhead doors to be installed by others. So I'd be curious to know what that language means. Who are the others? And is that something that they're going to subcontract out into? Or is it something that we are taking responsibility for? And along those lines, the second paragraph is a disclaimer.
It sounds like it's something we're going to have to take responsibility for.
Like the
doors.
Well, I would like just some clear answers on that. That leads back to the itemized estimate. We don't need broad budgetary numbers. We need a bullet point itemized estimate of like, this will cost that, this will cost that, this we can do, this we cannot. Because the second paragraph says the installation quote is based on the following assumptions: full and unrestricted access to the site for both crew and equipment, a clear obstruction-free work area, and sufficient space on site to unload and stage all necessary materials. Stage, not the work site, next to the work site. That's my parentheses. The quoted price does not include any foundation work. It is also assumed that all work will be performed under standard labor conditions, including regular working hours and wage rates. And that, of course, no mention at all of utilities or HVAC. So, again, we have to get a more itemized estimate in order to have anything. And then on top of that, like to Mitch's point and other points that have been made, what pathway are we taking to get this done? Is it a thing that would be allowable under our own purview, or is it something that has to run through the town? I think it probably will have to run through the town because we're adding a significant facility to a district building. For that, again, I just don't see, I agree with Mike that, knowing how the town council, RTM, all that, stuff works, there is a huge timeline there in order to get those approvals done in place. And it sounds like a CIP type project, which opens up to a lot of variables. So we're left scrambling for a short-term rental situation. So this year looks like rather dismal, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I don't see an easy way out of this.
Yeah.
And this has been a problem that's been bubbling and developing for quite some time. Over 4 years now, 5 years, by my estimates, that this has been on the radar.
All right, let's not rehash old stuff, though.
So
you have, Ian, we should have, and I hope the board's agreeing on this, a more itemized estimate. Shake your head if you're agreeing.
Or hands.
Comment
Are you going to comment?
on that.
Go ahead.
So
Do you mind if you comment, Ian?
I think we should start with if you're all right, I think we should start with like our own architect just spitball, does this make sense, or are we way off base? I think that's, so yeah, clearly, like, there's engineering that happens with the building, and they will, like, they design and engineer their building, and they'll submit those plans to the building inspector, and then the building inspector will make sure that all the bolts are tight. So, I think that is fine. I think that everything around the steel is what can cost a lot and gets added onto the steel, like insulation and all that. So
All right.
that's why I think we need our own architect. We don't necessarily need them to do the design.
Yep.
We just need to know if we're on the right path.
All right, so how do people feel about that? Sean, how do you feel about that?
I think the more information we can get, the better. I think getting feedback from our architect, I think that's the
Ian?
next step.
Yeah, I'm in favor of getting real information down and feasibilities first off, yeah.
Okay. Mitch?
I'm in favor of the same thing.
Okay. Jen, I know you are, because I know Adrian is. Mike?
I don't think this is going to get built for the season. I don't see that happening. So I don't think we have to rush this part of the timeline. I think the most important thing at this stage is to nail down what our options are for the process. And that would involve, like, basically, next time we meet with town manager Burt, ask him his opinion on, does this have to go through CIP? Can the Board of Ed do it by itself if it's entirely grant funded? And so that we know that process. I don't want to do things quickly and then no, we have to wait.
Okay.
So that's my feeling. And then I've got another thing, but I think you're polling for
So that's a good point. So I'll find out from John Burt tomorrow whether this has to go through the town council and the CIP process, or whether we can move forward with it. And if we can, if he says we can, then are you for step number 2, vetting by an architect?
I think that would be good. I also think we need a real, equally firm funding plan. Right? So, because if we're able to do it as just with the OE, we need it more than hopefully we can get grant. And I have great confidence in the grant funding powers here. But I'd like that too.
Okay. Dr. A said she's against it all. Dr. A?
Yes, I am against it all. I want to see it directly related to curriculum. However, if we got a grant to have somebody else pay for this, I might reconsider my position.
Okay. That sounds good. Jay?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Whitney that we should be looking at this on a long-term basis because there is no money to do it right now. But I definitely support having an architect chime in on it. I don't know what that's going to cost. We're saying we want an architect to look at it, but I'm really not in favor of a blank check for that, for a project that we don't even know how it will be funded, or whether it could become a CIP. So I'd like to get an idea on what that's going to cost. I really don't want to be presented with a $20,000 professional services bill to say that this isn't going to work.
All right, so Jay, you're suggesting see about the town the town, and then funding, and then the vetting. That's how you're going?
Right.
Okay. I think that's how Mike's going also. Okay. How do you feel about that, Adrian?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Jen?
Yeah, anything where we get more detail.
Okay. Mitch?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And Ian?
Seems like a logical sequence of events.
Okay. Sean?
I'm good with it.
All right. So once again, town, funding, vetting. Anybody want to add number 4? Adrian?
Temporary space.
Temporary space?
Check on temporary space.
Well, maybe you could do that at the same time, because they're definitely going to need temporary space. So that shouldn't be number 4. That should be right there with number 1. Ian, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, parallel to all this, we need to figure out what's happening for September.
Yep.
What can we do in-house or in town that would bridge them over for the year that's going to take us to figure this thing out.
Any suggestions, Susan?
I think we're going to have to find out more spaces that would be available, so that goes back to John Burt. And when we meet with him to talk about what other spaces could be in town. And I think just finding out, Shannon and Sam and I can look in to see if there's other viable places that are close by that the school bus could, drop some kids off.
And Mike, and then Jen.
So we've asked about a couple old schools. The central office here has an old gym/cafeteria. I think it might be used for something right now.
Transition Academy.
Transition Academy?
Yeah.
Does Transition Academy move
Their classrooms built in.
That's not going anywhere? Okay.
There are classrooms built in that gym. There's very little room left in the gym.
Yes. Okay. Just to give it clear that that's an old school.
Well,
Basement here.
well, option could, I don't know how big this space is. Is this space too small? Is this too small?
Be tall enough, right?
Yeah,
the
I think
ceiling.
it's not.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that we can,
Cafeteria, but we can't set it up and the balls bounce much higher.
Sam, you have a
Yeah,
suggestion?
I'm hoping to get a little clarification on what we're supposed to do from here. This option one on this ClearSpan is a company that does buildings. Are we saying we're going to work with that company, or are we going to work now with an architect?
No,
and
we're
develop-
going to bring the plans to the architect to have the architect take a look at it.
This is one company that builds buildings. Are we saying we're selecting this building and we're going to work with ClearSpan? It's the company. There are other companies that do the same thing, so that's what I'm trying to get at.
Oh, the other companies, are that price cheaper for the same thing?
They weren't the same thing. They were different things. They were different sizes. They included different things. So,
Which shouldn't that have been the option number 2 for us?
I mean,
Instead of ClearSpan being
I'm confused
the only
as to what you
option, I
did
thought we were going to have
direction
option
here.
1, option 2, option 3, but different options, not one option, one company with different options. You know what I thought?
That actually brings up
Right?
something like this, according to our financial policies, that we go out to bid.
Right. So, if I
Go ahead.
clarify, so yeah, I think we kind of cross the streams here a little bit, because we're using a private company's, proposal as a plan, as an option. I think when we were talking about this, I was looking more just for like concepts as opposed to commitments to a company.
Well, there have been no commitments.
Right. But to Sam's point, we could talk to an architect about a general idea, but then there could be proprietary issues as far as like designs. So we couldn't necessarily just give them this and say, hey, can you work with that? Because then we just took somebody else's design. And there's the whole bidding process. So I think we have to circle back to the start and like Mike and everyone else has said about the process.
Right.
One, we got to get right with the town. What's our pathway to create a space about this size somewhere adjacent to the building on this property? And option 1 and 2 is basically a half field and a full field. Those are 2 variations on the same theme. So, yeah, first off, we just got to get the process right, and then how we integrate the architect into that is like we should go to them first and say, just rough cut, like what can be done with the space that we have, the land that we have.
Right. So the 2 things is pathway and funding. And we'll worry about the architect later. How's that? Joan, Mitch left at 8:10. Go ahead.
So, I guess if we're going to go that route, right, like what Beverly had originally stated, is that we make sure that we have our specs in place so that if it's ClearSpan or some other company, we could say, these are the things we're looking for, and, give us an estimate so that we have a true option 1 and 2. But I know I've mentioned this in the past, and there's pushback because it seems to be like our sports teams take precedence, but can we look at the small gym as taking half of that space for robotics? It's only temporary until the permanent solution is done. And I'm going to just mention it again, to give full consideration to a team which is just as important as other, clubs or teams in school.
Yeah. So I don't want to beat this forever. Or maybe you could come back. When do we meet again? For the full board meeting and talk about options where they can meet, maybe.
Process funding.
No. First, I'm thinking any options for them to have a field this school year, so it's not like a dead year for you guys. And then I'll find out from John about the pathway, and then we could talk about funding. We have to find out about funding, Susan.
Yep.
Did you want to say something, Sherry? Okay, Ian.
Just real quick, I just want to thank Jen for bringing that point up. I mean, the robotics team is a team. It's an athletic event from a certain point of view. You know, it deserves the same status as football, baseball, basketball, and track and field and all that. So, like, we accommodate them in those activities. We should extend the same sort of support to this team.
Mental gymnastics.
Chris and Sherry, do you have any ideas where you would, if this doesn't, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, do you have any ideas where you can practice this year?
I mean, I think a gym could work.
Right.
Because it is something that we can't put up and take down every day. So it would have to be somewhere where we could leave it up.
So you said the gym wouldn't work.
It would.
Well, the gym, it would work.
If we could leave it.
But I understand gym space is tight. They use it for a lot of things. I know, Matt Brown has talked about that, but and I get it, right? It's so we'd have to figure out some sort of compromise. I don't know right off the top of my head, but I would guess I'd have to sit down and look at time frames of what they have it scheduled for what, to see if maybe we could find windows of opportunity. But we'd have to get creative.
Could you talk to Matt about that,
Yes,
Susan?
I certainly will.
Okay. And how we could make the gym accessible to them? At least half the gym? Okay. You might have to rearrange your schedule a little bit, but... Adrian.
All right. I just kind of wanted to go back and kind of what Ian and Jen said about, we do support sports teams and kind of what Andrea said about, like, is it directly tied to curriculum? I think that robotics is more closely tied to curriculum than any of the sports teams, and there's a lot of clubs that are also tied to curriculum. But as far as preparing kids for probably specifically college and engineering and technology, it directly supports that, and it's amazing. With the one time that I saw you guys in action in that field, it was amazing how much learning and how good you are. I just find it amazing what you can do so quickly anyway. So I think that this does really support kind of our mission in teaching and learning. So I think it's core to that, and it's important to kind of give it its due. So thank you for sticking with us.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah. And then my other thing, again, the architect was really for budgeting to like bounce this off and say, and then to say, yeah, it can probably be done for that, or now you're way off. So it's more of like a project management type role, like not to actually design it, just to kind of look at this and say, yeah, it makes sense or it doesn't, that type of thing. But then I was, jokingly on the classroom here, are there any classrooms that we're not using that might be big enough, that have higher ceilings?
The higher ceilings part
Or minimally using, I should say.
I don't know of any.
I jokingly said the library
I say that.
How big, what's the dimensions of a pit in the library?
Go down with the pit.
That's too small. Unless you had
How about you broach that with Miss Johnson, and I'll stand on the other side of the library.
When we had our meeting there, we were saying like, oh, look, high ceiling.
All right. So, we all know where we stand.
Yeah.
If you want me to say it again? Everybody
We're
understand?
looking at bridge options and establishing the process and identifying funding. And then have our architect vet some loose ideas.
Yep. That comes last.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you'll get back to us at the meeting on
29th. But if I can
29th.
get it to you early, I will.
All right, but we'll have it on the agenda for discussion.
Yep.
Okay. Moving along. Are you guys comfortable with that?
We're persistent.
Okay.
We want this to happen. We really do.
All right. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Appreciate
guys for
your
your
input.
support. We appreciate
We're trying hard to figure it out.
Thank you.
All we can do, we can figure it out.
And to have a more permanent situation so you don't have to move again. That's the goal.
How's the wood shop coming? Can I ask about that real quick?
It's not yet.
That's not yet.
It's got some clearing out,
Not yet.
but we have a plan
Got to get
for
through
that, too.
graduation.
Got to get through graduation.
All right. Are you hopeful that it's going to be ready by September, I hope?
Yeah, it will be.
Okay.
It has to be.
Okay.
Determined on that one.
All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate the parents and the kids, too. Yeah.
The next item on the agenda is an update for the Early Childhood Center at Mary Morrison. It's Shannon or
Well,
Susan?
I'll start out with a lot of work has been accomplished. And hats off to Shannon for her, her work with Sam and I, and Sam and Tom Brigham for their work in, really managing this. And, Sam can fill in where I just give you the big view, but we've really almost spent the entire $600,000 grant. Oh, it's spent, okay. And that, the painting is happening now. He picked out some really nice colors, this pretty blue for the hallway and this creamy color for in the classrooms. We're down to, I think we had this company come in and take out anything obsolete, and we might have to do that with the wood shop too, once we know what's obsolete. But that was a great situation. Things have been ordered, so the gymnasium is filled with the orders through the grant for the classrooms. And then Sam can speak to this, but there are a couple water levels that we're just having rechecked, and he's got to do a couple adjustments, I think, to faucets and things to see if that will help. So the big thing that we were really concerned about was the egress, to have that second egress. So we were able to buy all the windows for the perimeter of the school so that we would have the double egress ahead of time. So in long-term planning, that was done. So I was really pleased with that. And they are supposed to be delivered and put in, by the end of this month. So that's a lot of progress. And I know we want to get that cleaned up too. So if we did have visitors who wanted to come into Mary Morrison, it doesn't look like a construction zone. All the air conditionings are in, Sam?
I believe all of them are in, but there may be a couple left to go.
Right.
I'd have to check with them.
So, but you tell us you've been knee-deep in this work with your team. They've been on the rooftop, and I think that was for the air circulation.
Yeah, for
and
the
fixing
HVAC
that.
stuff, yeah. Yeah, between our guys working on HVAC, cleaning that stuff up, painting is almost complete. There may be just a little bit of painting left to do. And then we will start actually, I'll be talking to Charlie, Mr. Varner, our custodial supervisor, about getting a team over there of his custodians to start doing the floors, cleaning the walls. And cleaning up the rooms and doing the floors, getting them ready to move the furniture in.
And then we have a playground coming, too, and ramp.
Yeah,
So do you want to fill in?
Both the program and the facilities committee, pretty good sized group on each, has been meeting every Monday for at least 3 months now. So, yeah, we met this morning. Trying to think what were some of the highlights from the program committee. Right now, they're working on an informational video for the students that will go out this summer, because we felt like it was a little late to get it out at this point as families are wrapping up the school year. And that will feature some of the preschool teachers, the director, Susan, and maybe a Board of Ed member also. So they started working on that today. We've had, I believe, over 200 students interested, families interested in enrolling their students. So the registration process is underway. Unfortunately, there will be a wait list, but we're trying to figure out what we can do to accommodate as many families as possible. Like Sam and Susan said, the equipment's been ordered. We're just kind of waiting for a few things to come in, and then Sam's team is going to get in there and make it look pretty, though it's already looking very nice. Yeah, are there any questions at this time? Or?
Mitch had a question. He said he thought that the upcoming pre-K program at Mary Morrison is for 3 and 4 years old. Is that correct?
For the coming year, it's just for the 4-year-olds.
Okay.
Yeah, so there'll be 10 regular classrooms of 18 students and 1 ABA classroom.
But we're saving spots designated for special education because those kids could be coming in.
That's right.
Later.
Yeah. So we looked at the average enrollment for special ed students in the 4-year-old program each year over the past 3 years, and we saved a certain number of spots based on what the average enrollment is.
Can you tell me that again? Coming year, 3-year-olds?
No,
Yeah, so the
4-year-olds.
3-year-olds are moving to Thames River for this coming year. And the entire 4-year-old program is moving to Mary Morrison.
3-year-old program is half days. 4-year-old program is full day.
4-year-olds are moving to Mary Morrison. Okay.
And they're the 4-year-olds who will be eligible for kindergarten the following year, so they have to turn 4 by September 1.
Mike.
Yeah, thanks for asking that. At the liaison meeting, I kind of fumbled with this. So for the 3-year-olds are all special ed 3-year-olds?
No, they're mixed.
And so
They're
that-
special ed and peers.
And so that we're currently offering programs to some 3-year-olds, and so that's not expanded with this new center. It's existing. Is that correct?
Yes, but what we did was we put 3 and 4-year-olds together in programs. So we're really now taking 4-year-olds to have full day and have a program that's really readying them for kindergarten specifically, both special ed and regular ed students. And the 3-year-olds will have their program that is now half-day program.
Got it.
And
So-
special ed with regular ed education.
And 3-year-old program is half day
Half
right
day.
now. It will continue to be half day. It's the 4-year-olds that get the full day thing.
Right.
So that's why it's separated out. Okay, but thank you. Maybe if the liaison committee members
Next time you might have to invite me to come. I used to attend that one in case there were questions.
So that's you said moving to Thames River, where the 3 and 4-year-olds now they're at Mystic? Or?
They're at Mystic and Thames.
Okay.
There's like 4 classes at Mystic and 3 classes at Thames. And we'll still have those 3 classrooms at Thames, and they'll be just the 3-year-olds. They were always mixed 3 and 4 in both schools, but now the ones coming from Mystic River will be going, and there will be some teachers in the other school too coming, because we'll have 11 classrooms, one of those being the ABA preschool. So
How many classes at?
we're going to have 11. With the new
including
updated
ABA, so
10.
regular classrooms.
At
18 students.
at Mary Morrison?
That's right, yeah, and
10.
then one ABA classroom.
And those are
10
3
regular.
additional teachers paid for by the grant.
ABA.
Yes. And all the others were paid for by the board.
And tell me again what ABA stands for? $50
Applied Behavioral Analysis.
You got it.
Applied Behavioral Analysis Program. You're checking my brain.
And so I sort of stumbled on this part too, but yeah, but I think, so the Mystic River classrooms, they're all either moving to Mary Morrison or Thames. And Thames is the only one with the 3-year-olds, and so that's 3 classrooms. And that's
3, but 6 sessions, so
6 sessions.
3
because they're half a day.
Yeah, because they're half a day, yeah.
And is there anything else in that age range, not just the 3, the preschool age range, that's at any other school? Okay.
Not anymore. Not after next year.
And then I did get this part right. Mary Morrison both expands the number of students that we can teach and serve, and then also the big switches from half day to full day too. So more students for more time, which is, I think that's where at least education in the state, if not the country, is going. Just the same way kindergarten went from half day to full day years ago. Thanks.
Jen?
So, I know in finance and facilities,
Jen, talking to the mic.
I know in finance and facilities, Sam went into more detail, right? And I don't know where it was mentioned. I think it was our last meeting that eventually the 3-year-olds would get moved to Mary Morrison. And I had said at that time, if you could give us more information, like how many classrooms are there really at Mary Morrison, like classroom space? So is there going to be room for 3 additional classes the following year? Have the window egress items been purchased? And if not, and there is a plan to move, where are those funds going to come from in the future years? So that was one of the questions that I had. And then we've been waiting for a long time for the water, so I was just trying to understand, like, what's the delay? And why is it the company that we sourced this to, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks now, like regarding the lead?
I got the test results.
Oh, good.
Test results were not satisfactory to my liking for 3 and 4-year-olds.
Yeah.
They're in 2 spaces. One is in a nurse's space, and another is in a classroom. The classroom, I don't believe, will end up being used as a classroom presently, but the nurse's space is a great concern to me. So our next plan is to remove the fixture and replace the fixture and any piping that is available or visible to us, because this building doesn't have everything else is in the slab, so we can't get to the pipes that are on the slab. Most of our schools are like this one. The older schools are like this. They actually have tunnels going down hallways where all the pipes run. In that particular school, they're in the slab, so we can't get to them. So all we can do is change what's visible to us and test again and see whether that has taken care of it. If that doesn't work, I'm working to put filtering systems in those 2 spaces so that it will take care of the lead in the water through a filtering system, and then we will monitor it on a weekly and a monthly basis.
And we're going to use bubblers anyway for water refills for kids.
We've also ordered
like we have here.
Bubblers, bottle fillers for the hallways, so children will be able to fill their thermos or bottles for drinking water.
So the first and the second testing of the lead both came back negative.
We don't use that terminology, but they're not.
They're not satisfactory.
It's not satisfactory to me.
Okay.
It's too close for comfort.
Too close. Yep.
So we're going to exhaust our resources and try to get to the root of the problem.
How long is all this going to take, Sam?
I'm sorry.
How long will all this take with the water? You're going to change the plumbing, you said.
Yeah.
So, get a time frame for that.
Well, it's all, we have graduation going on right now.
Right
so
now,
our guys
that's
are all
this.
working on that stuff. So after that, our plumber will get working on those two areas in the building. It shouldn't take that long to do that. And then we'll retest and see where we are. And if that doesn't work, we will add the filtering system to it.
How long did it take you to get the results from the testing? Did it take like 3 weeks?
The first time it was quite a while, but the last time Steve got them to me pretty quickly because there were only those two rooms we were testing. So.
The water issue doesn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling. Beautiful.
We had a similar problem at Gloucester School before we closed Gloucester School, and it's continued to operate as a school, and we were allowed to put signs in the classrooms that this is not drinking water, but I would not feel comfortable about doing that with 3 and 4 year olds. You know, our littlest kids who would be most vulnerable to that. So.
Well, in all the other classrooms you tested, they came out fine.
Yeah,
So I don't think it's a systemic
except
problem,
in 2
but
spaces. So,
we have to figure out what is the
if we're
problem.
not able to take care of it with plumbing fixtures, then we will take care of it with filtering systems.
Okay.
So, Sam, is this correct? So the classroom that has the water issue, is that the same one that we can't use?
We're not using it anyways because we don't have egress out of there. There's a stairwell that doesn't meet code for egress for the kids.
Right. This is the nurse's office that we would like to use as the nurse's office, but we have another office. We have other spaces we could use if it doesn't work out. Or
The
whatever.
nurse's office, I think, has a bathroom in it, so it's ideal. But
We do have a map of the school. We'd be happy to send that to you. We're actually putting in the rooms so you could see the perimeter of the rooms. And the teachers that are moving in with the 4-year-olds are really reserving the rooms on the right-hand side as you go up the ramp for the 3-year-old program, so they don't have to move out again, because that has the actual egress door to go out, along with the door into the hallway. So that was a real good thinking, I think, that they wouldn't want to move again, and that we could have that ready for the 3-year-olds.
When they come in 28.
And with this grant, it's really done more than we had estimated. We're really doing the whole school. We first thought we were just going to do those few classrooms, but now we're able to really take care of the whole building. So that's really good news, thanks to everybody's hard work.
Any questions? Now, don't forget, Finance and Facilities will be meeting at Mary Morrison on Tuesday, July 2nd.
Now, they won't be able to videotape. I mean, we can't have a meeting there, I don't think. I haven't...
That's okay. We could still tour the building.
You could still tour the building and have an old-fashioned kind of meeting, like in person.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
The main thing is touring the building.
Yeah.
And seeing how it's going. All right. Anything else about Mary Morrison? Okay. Are we happy the way it's progressing?
Actually, I do have a quick question. When are those windows coming in?
The egress windows?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be installed before the end of the month. So,
So they didn't end up being a 12-week lead time. They got them quicker.
the 12-week lead time, I believe, was related to adding on additional rooms that we weren't going to do in the beginning. So.
All right. That's good. Thank you.
All right, next, anything else? Ian, you have anything?
No, I had my concerns about this whole project in the beginning, and I still retain those concerns.
Say that again?
I said I had my concerns about this whole situation beforehand. I said them back then. I've repeated them a few times. I'm not going to belabor them now, but the concerns are still there. And the water situation is one of those.
Yeah, that
one of those things I did ask about, and it's proven to be problematic.
Okay. Moving right along, the next item is the referral tracking sheet.
You ready to head out? You can hit the road.
I would have given you permission, but that's not my place. I would have let you go half an hour ago. Anybody have anything for the tracking sheet? I'm trying
Yes,
to find
I
it.
have a request. So this is at least the third time I've asked, when we're looking at the referral tracking sheet, to put the discussion of foreign language offerings that was referred by the curriculum committee in November. Who's in charge of putting this on? Because I literally have asked.
On the tracking sheet.
Yeah, it needs to be on the tracking sheet. It was a referral from curriculum in November of 25.
Yeah.
So it needs to be
Discussion
on
of
the COW.
world
That's-
language offerings, did you say?
Yeah,
How did you want to
We
write
had,
it?
if just listen to last month's meeting or the months before's meeting, because I'm getting, like, whose job is it to put it on the sheet?
It's my job. I'll take blame for that.
All right. Well, now I'm not so.
I actually had it on the agenda, but then the agenda all changed. So
Yeah, I know. I know.
So,
I think it should
so
just
it wasn't
be on the
tracking sheet, but it was something I wanted to talk about. But then the principal couldn't come, and this and that, and the whole thing changed. So now we won't talk about it. I don't know if the principal could come in the summer, or so. Don't ask me, ask Susan. But I'll ask Joyce to put it on the tracking sheet.
All right.
But I wanted to talk about it. I talked to you about it, Adrian, remember? I said I was going to have it on the agenda.
I know. I still think it should be on the tracking sheet.
Yeah, I hear you.
For this specific purpose.
Yeah, I'll ask Joyce to put it on.
And then discussion of board approval of grants. Unless that someone wants to make a motion to reconsider, we could take that one off, because we talked about that.
Okay.
I don't remember what the date was, but it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, that was in May. Let's look at that. I think it was a COW meeting. I'll look it up. Well, Joyce could look it up. She'll do it. Okay, so
It looks like
World-
R2025/4. AJ.
Yeah.
What exactly was it for? How do you do world language?
Discussion of
I
world
just
language.
wrote discussion of
offerings.
foreign language offerings.
Okay.
I think that was mostly what it was.
Okay.
It was said specifically, and it's in the emails.
Okay.
If we do an email search, or I can do a search again. And
No,
find
that's
it,
all
'cause I
right.
went back
This
and-
is good enough. And take off the grants. Okay, Jen, are you all set, Adrian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you sure?
No. But I'll tell you if I come up with something else.
Go ahead, Jen.
Since we're at the end of the school year, did that simple student exit survey take place?
When
Did you say that?
Was that last week?
Did it take place?
Yeah, did it take place?
I had it on the agenda for today, but like I said, the agenda got changed because Matt Brown couldn't come because
Well,
he's
it
busy.
wasn't completed, and I think I wrote about it in a board note.
I don't know.
I did write about it in a board note, I think. But I do know he wants to come and he can share the data, but they haven't had time to analyze it because it's still going through the senior class, so.
All right, so.
So yes, it was sent out to the students.
Yeah.
Yes, it was sent out.
I think we want to see exactly what's on it, if it's really a comprehensive exit survey, or if it's like, are you going to college? Yes. Are you going to work? No. You know, we want to see what kind of survey it actually is.
Well, it's like
I guess
deja vu.
Adrian and Mike and Ian probably already saw the survey, because your kids probably get it. But
I don't have kids in the district anymore.
yeah, but
I'll
when
ask
you're
if they
there
get-
used to,
I'll
they're
ask
only
if
2
they
years
got it. I
out.
don't remember him saying anything
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, so. Anyway. What'd you say, Adrian?
I'll ask and see what.
I swear to God, I wrote the article.
I think
I'm
they
gonna
don't
go
have to
find
go
it
to
for you and
seniors.
send it
I don't
back
think they have
out.
to go to school anymore, so so hopefully they've done it already.
Yeah. Anything else about the tracker? Anybody want to, Mike?
So
I'm sorry, Ian.
Yeah.
our longest list is on the COW, but I was kind of hoping maybe it's a pipe dream that we could convert to having COWs maybe every other month, and that we could take down some of these COW referral items in a board meeting. We kind of tend to discuss it twice or 3 times. So, anyway, my hope is that we have less meetings overall. I am at all the meetings, but the COW, less COWs would be one way to go.
I would second that.
And in the summertime, we typically do fewer, we do one COW and then maybe less committee meetings too, because a lot of people are traveling.
Well, we still have finance and facilities. We don't usually have curriculum in the summer because the teachers
Yeah, I
only
don't
have
think
those.
there's curriculum and communications.
And so if you hear my pipe dream on top, my pipe dream is this, that the committees convert to maybe meeting 2 out of every 3 months. So that we're, like, I think there must be some way to reduce the total amount of meetings we have.
Yeah.
I know, I think I add to what we need to talk about and the length of the meetings for sure.
Well, actually, the regular board meeting should be short, but they tend to be longer. Because the regular board meeting should be, we talk about stuff at committee of the whole. When it comes to vote, it should already be done. But it doesn't happen that way. And I tell Susan also, no presentations at the regular board meeting.
She's only no presentations.
Make it short. Maybe we can, I don't know, let me look at the agenda and let me see where we can shorten stuff up. But that's how the regular board meeting should be. We should be doing all our working. The CLW, Sam's laughing, should be working, and we should say, yep, we're going to approve this. But I hate to say, you guys talk a lot.
Yeah,
It's not the meetings, it's how long you all talk.
It's the number of meetings and how long we talk.
It's both, because we do meet very often.
Well, you know nationally, but I know statewide that I think this board probably is the hardest working. I mean, we have this board meets more often than any other in the state. They can't even believe how hard you guys are working.
I promise we won't talk much when there's not a meeting. That's all I can give you.
Think about
Right? Sean?
said that.
Right, yeah.
Even nationally, right?
Yeah, actually.
All right,
They don't meet this
anything
much.
else? Anything else? Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, at the finance facilities, the referral that came from me on the create a monetary threshold for moving money within the budget for board approval regarding enterprise funds. I'm not sure where that phrase regarding enterprise funds came from. I think I was just talking about generally like a threshold of money like that we would have to approve, which I think has already been addressed in policy.
Yeah,
We have a policy.
So in that sense, I don't think we need this referral.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think we've handled that. And the budget calendar functions, similar to town council. I guess maybe that's a little clunky language.
We have to check with Rita because our functions are definitely
It's more
specific
like,
for
the point of my referral, though, was about a calendar of the meetings, the committee of the whole style meeting where it's recessed, and we meet over, it's a little more formalized. We talked about that offline a little bit.
Right. It's recess, so
yeah.
you can vote as you go along.
Exactly, and then right before you finalize the vote with the special meeting, you have a chance to reconsider anything.
Right.
If numbers didn't quite work out right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
like in our August, like future coming items
Okay.
topic.
Great. I'd be more than happy to be a guest. If that's allowable.
You don't
Which
plan
is- All right. And that's it for me.
So remove 2024-19.
Yep.
Okay. Mike and Jen, did you talk about the sale of the purchase, the land adjacent to the high school at the liaison meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
And what was their feeling? Because you had John and Bruce there, so.
Well, broadly speaking, open to it, but then that, like anything associated with the town for that matter, has a long timeline. Right?
For making decisions, you mean?
And they said it was in the last meeting, but they didn't have a quorum.
Yeah, for athletic fields, they have a quorum at the last meeting when they had on the agenda.
Okay, so it's still, okay. Jay has his hand up. Jay?
Yeah, I just want to quickly observe, and Dr. Ekman will remember, for, I don't know, at least 50, 75 years, the board had one meeting and one POW a month. That was changed because of the number of decisions we had to make with regard to the 2020 plan. But like any other organization, our meetings fill whatever time we allot for them.
That's true. It's true.
All right, thank you, Jay. All right, anything else for the good of the board? Nothing? All right.
Just one thing.
Go ahead, Dr. A.
Okay. Now, I wanted to add, I don't know why Mr. Whitelaw thinks that I remember 50 to 75 years ago. I have no idea where he gets that.
No, it only changed a couple of years ago, Andrea. It was that way for many years. We changed it in 2018.
I know what you mean.
See, what am I talking about? See, they're adding to the time.
Okay.
Okay, 8:45, motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Any opposed?
No, I want to stay here.
Mike?
Thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned.